Okay, real question. How many years have you been studying English grammar?
Be honest. 2 years? 5? 10?
And yet, the second someone actually asks you something in real life, your brain just locks up.
That freeze. We all know it.
Here's the thing nobody tells you. That's not a you problem. That's a method problem.
Because you've been memorizing rules, when what you actually need is a reflex.
Right, and the second you try to speak, you're not really speaking English at all.
You're translating in your head every single time.
Which means by the time the correct sentence finally shows up, the moment's already gone.
So today, we're doing something completely different. We're putting the grammar drills aside.
And instead, we're using something called narrative meditation to wire English straight into your instincts, your emotions, the part of your brain that just reacts instead of calculates.
No more translating, just responding.
And I know that sounds like a big claim, but stick with us because by the end of this episode, you're going to understand exactly why this works and how to start doing it today. Hey everyone, I'm Leo.
And I'm Mia. Welcome back to English Speaking Practice.
Mia, real quick before we get into this, I want to set up the problem because I think almost everyone watching this has felt it.
Oh, the freeze.
The freeze. Like, you know the grammar rule. You could probably write it on a test and get it right. But someone asks you a question in real life and your brain just stalls.
Because here's what's actually happening in that moment. You're not speaking English, you're translating into English. Your brain hears the question in your first language, translates it, builds an English sentence using grammar rules you memorized, checks the rules again, and then finally speaks.
That's like 4 steps before a single word comes out.
4 steps. And a native speaker, or someone who's truly fluent, does 0 of those steps. They just respond. The words are already there.
Okay, so that's the paradox we're solving today, right? You can study for years verb tenses, conditionals, phrasal verbs, and still freeze because all that knowledge lives in the translation part of your brain, not the instinct part.
Exactly. And that's where narrative meditation comes in. It's not a grammar tool, it's a brain rewiring tool.
Okay, I'm hooked. But before we dive in, if this is your first time here, we make videos like this all the time, breaking down real ways to actually speak English, not just study it.
So hit subscribe if you're tired of feeling stuck. We've got a lot more coming.
All right, Mia, break it down for me. What is English narrative meditation, actually?
Okay, so picture regular meditation, where you sit quietly and follow your breath, right? Narrative meditation takes that same calm, focused state, but instead of following your breath, you follow a story in English in your mind.
Like an audiobook?
Kind of, but more personal. You imagine yourself living through a simple scene, ordering coffee, having a conversation, walking through your day, and you narrate it silently in English in your head while your body is relaxed and your mind isn't stressed about getting it right.
Wait, so there's no pressure to be correct?
0 pressure. That's the whole point. When you're relaxed, your brain isn't in test mode. It's not trying to retrieve grammar rules from a filing cabinet. It's just experiencing the language.
Okay, let me try this right now, live. Tell me a scene.
All right, close your eyes. Well, you can't close your eyes. You're on camera.
Fair point.
Just imagine it. You walk into a small bakery. The smell of fresh bread fills the air. The cashier looks at you and smiles.
Okay, I walk into the bakery. It's warm inside. I smell bread, fresh bread. The woman behind the counter, she smiles at me.
Yes, keep going. Don't worry about perfect grammar. Just feel the scene.
I look at the pastries. I want the chocolate one. I say, "Can I have the chocolate croissant, please?" She nods. She puts it in a small bag.
Leo, that was completely natural. Did you notice you didn't translate a single word?
Huh, I actually didn't. I was just kind of in the bakery.
That's the entire mechanism. You weren't solving a grammar puzzle, you were having an experience, and English was just the language the experience happened in.
Okay, that's actually really cool. So, why does this work better than, say, flashcards or grammar drills?
Great question. So here's the science made simple. Grammar drills activate your prefrontal cortex. That's the logical, rule-following part of your brain. It's slow, and it's the same part of your brain you use for math problems.
Which explains why speaking English sometimes feels like solving an equation.
Exactly. But fluent, instinctive speech comes from a different system. It's tied to memory, emotion, and imagery, parts of the brain that work fast and automatically. Narrative meditation trains that second system directly because you're attaching English to a vivid mental experience instead of a rule.
So, it's like grammar drills build a manual. Narrative meditation builds muscle memory.
That's a perfect way to put it. You've got this, by the way. That comparison was spot on.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so walk me through this a bit deeper. What actually happens step by step when someone practices this?
So, step 1, you get into a relaxed state. Doesn't have to be deep meditation, just a calm few minutes. Maybe sitting quietly, breathing slowly.
Got it.
Step 2, you choose a simple scene from your real life. Something familiar, low stakes, making breakfast, walking your dog, riding the bus.
Why low stakes specifically?
Because if the scene is stressful or complicated, your brain switches back into performance mode, and that brings back the anxiety that causes the freeze in the first place. We want low-stakes, sensory-rich scenes.
Makes sense. Okay, step 3?
Step 3, you narrate the scene silently in your mind, in English, in present tense, like it's happening right now. I open the fridge. I take out the milk. It's cold. You're not writing an essay. You're just noticing and naming.
And step 4?
Step 4 is the magic one. You let emotion attach to the words. If you're imagining your morning coffee, actually feel the warmth, the comfort, the little moment of peace. The emotion is what locks the English into your long-term instinctive memory.
Wait, say that again? Emotion locks it in?
Yes, memory science backs this up. Emotionally tagged memories are stored more strongly and recalled more easily. So when you attach real feeling to an English sentence, instead of treating it like a textbook example, your brain treats it like a real memory, not a rule to look up.
Okay, that's actually wild, but it makes total sense. I remember the lyrics to songs I haven't heard in 10 years, but I can't remember a grammar rule I reviewed yesterday.
Exactly the point. Songs carry emotion. Grammar charts don't.
Okay, so let's talk mistakes, because I feel like people are going to try this and maybe do it wrong.
Oh, for sure. The biggest mistake, people try to make the sentences correct while they're doing the meditation. They stop the flow to think, wait, was that the right tense?
Guilty. I do that with literally everything.
Right, but that defeats the purpose. The moment you stop to check grammar, you've gone back into translation mode, which is exactly what we're trying to escape.
So what should people do instead if they notice a mistake?
Just keep going. Let the sentence be imperfect. You can clean up grammar separately in regular study time, but during narrative meditation, the goal is flow, not correctness.
Okay, mistake number 2?
Mistake number 2, choosing scenes that are too complicated, like trying to narrate a whole job interview on day 1. Too many unknown words, too much pressure, and people give up.
Start small.
Start small. Day 1 might just be, I wake up, I open my eyes, the room is quiet, I hear birds outside. That's it. 5, 6 simple sentences.
And mistake number 3?
Doing it inconsistently. This only works if it becomes a small daily habit, even 2 or 3 minutes a day, because you're training a reflex, and reflexes need repetition, not one big session once a month.
Okay, so let's get practical. What does this actually look like day to day for someone trying to build this habit?
So picture this. Every morning, right when you wake up, before you even check your phone, you spend 2 or 3 minutes narrating your morning. I sit up, I stretch my arms, I feel a little tired, but okay. Simple, present tense, sensory.
And then through the day?
You can do little micro sessions, waiting in line, walking somewhere, eating lunch. Narrate what's happening in your head in English. I'm waiting. The line is long. I see a woman with a red coat. You're not performing for anyone. It's completely private.
Which removes the fear of judgment, too.
Totally. There's no audience, so there's no fear of mistakes, which means your brain stays relaxed, which means it actually learns better.
Okay, real talk. How long before someone notices a difference?
Most learners notice something shifting within 2 to 3 weeks of daily practice. Sentences start forming faster without that translation pause. Full instinct, the kind where English just comes out automatically, that usually takes consistent practice over a couple months. But the freeze starts loosening up much sooner than that.
Okay, I love that this is honest. It's not overnight magic. It's a real buildable skill.
Exactly. And speaking of building something permanent, here's the trick that's going to make this stick in your mind forever.
Okay, I'm ready.
Grammar lives in your head. Instinct lives in your story.
Wait, say that one more time?
Grammar lives in your head. Instinct lives in your story. Every time you're tempted to think in rules, remind yourself you don't need the rule, you need the story. Find the scene, narrate the scene, feel the scene.
Grammar lives in your head. Instinct lives in your story. Okay, that's actually going to stay with me.
Say it with us right now, wherever you're watching this. Grammar lives in your head.
Instinct lives in your story.
Comment that below if you'll remember it. It's a genuinely simple way to catch yourself the next time you start overthinking a sentence.
Okay, let's actually practice this together right now, live.
Yes, let's do it properly. Everyone watching, pause the video in a second if you want to try this fully, but let's walk through one together first.
Give me a scene, Mia.
Okay, you're making tea. It's evening. You're a little tired after a long day.
I'm in the kitchen. I take the kettle. I fill it with water. I turn it on. I wait. I'm tired, but it's a good kind of tired. Mia, the kettle is starting to boil. I hear the sound getting louder. I take my favorite cup. I put the tea bag in.
That was so natural. And notice, present tense, simple words, real feeling. You weren't building a grammatically perfect paragraph. You were just there in the kitchen.
I genuinely felt like I was making tea.
That's exactly it. Okay, your turn, everyone watching. Pause right here and try a scene of your own. Maybe you're walking to the kitchen, sitting at your desk, or looking out a window. Narrate it silently, present tense, simple sentences, real feeling.
And don't worry if it's not perfect. Remember, grammar lives in your head, instinct lives in your story.
Okay, let's do one more, slightly trickier. A short conversation this time. Leo, you're at a small shop and someone asks you a question.
Okay. I walk in. The shopkeeper looks up. He says, "Can I help you?" I say, "Yes, I'm looking for a notebook." He says, "They're over there on the left." I say, "Thank you." I walk to the shelf.
See? No pause, no translation, just flow. That's the instinct we're building.
Comment below with your own little scene, even 2 or 3 sentences. We genuinely read these, and it's such a good way to lock in what you practiced today.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. What did we actually learn today?
Grammar rules alone don't create fluency. They create knowledge, but not instinct. And that's why you freeze even after years of studying.
English narrative meditation works by removing the pressure of correctness and replacing it with a relaxed, emotional, sensory experience, which trains the fast, instinctive part of your brain instead of the slow, rule-checking part.
And the trick itself is small. 2 to 3 minutes a day, simple present tense scenes, real feelings attached, no grammar checking allowed during the practice.
And remember the trick, grammar lives in your head, instinct lives in your story.
Honestly, I feel like I want to go narrate my entire evening now.
Do it! That's exactly the energy we want. And hey, if this video helped you understand why you felt stuck, even after years of studying, that's such a common experience, and you're not behind. You just needed a different tool.
You've got this, seriously.
And if you want more tools like this, real, practical ways to build actual fluency, not just textbook knowledge, subscribe because we post new episodes regularly, and they're built exactly for learners who are tired of feeling stuck.
Yeah, and next time we're tackling something connected to this, how to use the same instinct-building approach for real conversations, not just solo narration.
So you'll definitely want to be subscribed for that one.
Before you go, comment below with one sentence from your own narrative meditation practice. Just try it right now and tell us what scene you imagined.
We read every single one, and it genuinely helps us see how you're all improving.
All right, that's it for today's episode.
Go build your instinct one small story at a time.
And remember,
You've got this.
you've got this.